Hello F11 members and welcome back to the Fundamentals of Post-Production video tutorials for issue 58. Now this is part 2. In part 1 we looked at the test image using the new Canon 5D Mark IV. What I'd like to do now is take you to Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario to accompany the Behind the Lens feature and the video blog in this very same issue of the Chasing the Light online magazine. In front of you, you have a picture shot at Wolf Howl Pond on our last day in Algonquin. A beautiful place, a location we visited several times. Now the picture in front of you there was shot late afternoon on a fairly overcast day. The light is pretty uninspiring, but there was something about it, the steely quality of the light, that I found appealing. And I love these blacks in the water here, the peaty water, contrasting with the vegetation on the edge of the frame. And of course, it's such a typically Algonquin type image. Now what you have here is actually a super wide angle shot made using the 17mm tilt and shift lens, and I've actually made it from various exposures. One image looking down to get the bottom sort of third of the half of the picture in, one image in the middle, and one image with maximum shift looking up to get the trees and the sky in. But not just that. If I go now into Lightroom and we look at what I shot to make this picture, it's quite a high contrast image. If I look at this image here, for example, I need to expose for this kind of detail the darkest part of the image, and yet I need to expose for that detail in the sky as well. So what I've done is, first of all, a set of 4 pictures, bracketing exposures for looking down with maximum drop tilt applied using the 17mm TSE lens. I've then got another set of 4 pictures here for the middle part of the frame, again going from the darkest to the brightest, and then finally looking up with maximum upshift applied. I've got the brightest to, again, 4 exposures to really handle the contrast range there, including all the detail in the sky. So how am I going to put them together? Well, by using the tilt shift lens, I've made sure that my verticals, or these very strong dominant verticals in the tree, of the trees in the frame, remain parallel to the frame. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the 4 images that are looking down, the first set of 4, and I'm going to merge them using Lightroom's merge capability. So if I select those 4 images there, and now come up here to Photo Merge, HDR, I hate those words, but it comes up with this dialog, and it's asking me, it's creating a preview. Exposure merging is the term I prefer to use here. It's going to take a few seconds to do that, so I'll just pause while we're waiting. So there's the HDR preview. You can see I've selected here the medium deghost amount, and that is indicated here by these red blobs, which are showing me areas where Lightroom has picked up there's a little bit of movement going on in between each different frame. Not much, but just a bit of a breeze causing deghosting to need to be applied really around the edge of the trees there. Okay, so now I'm going to select merge, and it's going to merge those images together. So again, that's going to take a minute or so, because I'm working with 4 images each shot with the 5DSR, so they're big images, 50 megapixel plus images each. So this is going to create quite a large image. Pause again while we're waiting. Okay, so it's done that. It's created, it's merged those exposures, and that is the result. Just wait for that to load. Does take a while with these big images. So there's the merged image. It does look too bright and pretty gutless, but nevertheless it's got all the information there I need. So now I'm going to move on to the next set of 4, the middle 4 images, and if I select them, 3, 4, and I'm going to do exactly the same again. So I go up to the top bar, I select photo, I select photo merge and HDR, and again it's going to come up with that dialog. It's creating a preview, so we'll just pause while that works through that. There again is the preview, and again showing the deghosting amount. Again, because there was not hardly any movement, not a breath of air really, I've selected medium deghost amount here. If you selected high, that would slow down the process more, but in this case I don't think I need it, so let's just merge those together. Again, I'm going to pause while it's chewing on that. So here is the merged image for the central part of the image. Again, it's going to take a minute to load because it's such a big image. And finally, I'm going to, or not finally, but and now I'm going to take the 4 images for the darkest part of the image, these 4 here, and merge them, just as I did the others. Select those and go photo, merge, HDR. Again, it's going to build a preview. Wait while it does that. So there's the preview for the final merge. So I'm going to click on merge to let it work on that. So there's the final merged image. So now we have 3 images, and I'm going to select the middle one here, and now just make some adjustments to that, because generally speaking the image has got all the detail I want. So I'm going to go to develop module here, and I'm just going to fine tune the image in terms of brightness and contrast. Just wait for it to load. And there it is. Okay, so let's come up here. And what I want to do is just bring back density attached there to about where I want it, using the tone curve, and go with a little bit of vibrance, and add a touch of sharpening and the usual masking of the sharpening. Hold down the shift button and move the alt button. There we go. Apply that masking. And now what I'm going to do is select the other 2 merged images, that one and that one. If I just move the window so you can see that. There. Down the bottom there. So here I have the 2 selected images. Sorry, the 3 selected images. I'm now going to press sync, and that's going to synchronize the adjustments I made to that middle one to the other. And that's done that. I'm now going to open these 3 in Photoshop to continue working on them. So I'll see you there in just a second. So here we are in Photoshop now, and I've got the 3 images. The bottom one, the middle one, and the top one. And I'm now going to put those together. And this time I'm going to use Photoshop's merging option. So if I just go to File and Automate and Photo Merge, it comes up with this. I'm going to add open files, and I'm going to ask it to blend the images together and leave the layout on auto and see what it makes of it. So let's click OK and see how Photoshop deals with that. So it's going to take a minute or so, and it's making what it's calling an untitled panorama. In fact, it won't be a panorama because it's going to be a square image by the time it's put together. It's blending the selected layers at the moment. I'm just going to pause you while it's working on that. And there's the image, actually, as it's done. And now I'm going to close the ones I don't need anymore. Okay. I'm going to save this image. At the moment, it's just called it as an untitled panorama, so I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Algon for Algonquin. Now we'll call it 5 and save there. Okay. There's still, if I bring the layers palette across here, you can see this is still an image that's based on 3 layers being merged together. So what I'm going to do now is just flatten. I don't need those individual layers, so I'm going to flatten those layers. So if I go Layer, Flatten Image. Okay, so I'm finished with the layers palette. Now what I want to do is just fine tune the image in terms of its the look of it. So I'm going to use my select tool here and just take an area of the image, the darker sort of part of the image really. Select that, go select, modify, feather. I'm going to feather that feather radius by quite a wide one, a 500 pixel radius. And now if I go image adjustment curves, I'm going to basically adjust the curves just of that area. So if I hold down my Alt key and move the white point in, I can move my white point all the way before I start clipping. And I want to just add a little bit of contrast to that part of the image, like that, just by tweaking the tone curve a touch. Okay. Now I want to look at the brightest part of the image, namely the sky. So I'm going to do a deselection there, and now just select an area roughly like that. Again, I don't need to be precise because I'm going to feather that selection. Go select, modify, feather, again a 500 radius. Why 500? Because I really want a soft edge to my selection. Okay, so now if I go image adjustments curves, and I'm going to alter the tone curve for that, just that area of the image here. First thing I do, alter my black point, hold down my Alt key, and I can see where clipping starts to appear. That's great, and already that's given some more bottle and interest to the sky. I'm going to pull back the darkness generally there, not too much, otherwise I start to see a sort of halo effect. Subtlety is the key here. Where? About there, I would say. Click on that. Next thing I want to do is first of all deselect there. This area of the sky, top right here, I just want to add a bit more density to that. So again, using the lasso key, I'm just going to very roughly select that area. Again, select, modify, feather radius, okay, 500, and now image adjustments, curves, and just pull back the darkness of that particular area of the sky. If I go too far, it starts to look unreal. Just fine-tuning it, subtlety, so that we're just bringing in a bit of drama, a bit of interest to that sky without creating an image that looks unrealistic. Deselect, and there you have it, et voila. So what we've done here is quite interesting. First of all, using the tilt and shift lens to make 4 exposures, looking down, looking level, and looking up, all with the verticals nice and perpendicular. Merged those to create 3 exposure merged images, and then merged them subsequently in Photoshop to make this super wide angle square image. And if I zoom in, you can see the quality is really quite incredible. So, quite time consuming for that image, but I think worth it, and certainly one worth experimenting for you. Okay, we'll look forward to hearing your suggestions for future fundamentals of post-production video tutorials. See you next issue. Thank you.